singing holy, holy Yahweh Almighty. We're singing holy.
Almighty Yahweh promises to gather everyone He's gathered. And I am a Hebrew. We are Hebrew.
I am a Hebrew, and I was born in North Carolina.
I am a Hebrew, and I was born in Tennessee.
I am a Hebrew, born in Arkansas.
I am a Hebrew. I was born in Texas.
I am a Hebrew, and I am from Florida. I'm a Hebrew, and I was born in California.
I am a Hebrew, and I was born in San Diego, California.
I'm a Hebrew. I was born in Indiana.
I'm a chosen generation, a royal priesthood. I am a Hebrew, and I was born in Spain.
私はヘブルです。日本で生まれました。Soy hebrea. Nací en Puerto Rico.
I am a Hebrew from West Africa, Liberia.
I am a Hebrew, and I was born in Straitway.
We are Hebrew.
Hello, my sister.
Shalom, shalom, greetings, daughters of Zion, sisters, my family. I love you, I bless you, I thank you for honoring us again with your presence. Here we are, another week, another time. Time is flying, huh? Days are going by so fast. I hope you hear me really well. Got a good show planned for you tonight, as we always hope to have. And I'm going over to you, Sister Jennifer. Let's get a sound check.
Shalom, shalom, daughters of Zion. Blessings to you. Thank you so much once again, like you always do, for tuning in for another episode of Sister to Sister. I pray you can all hear me very well. Like Sister Ashley said, we have a really good show planned for you, and we're excited to have you with us.
Hallelujah. I acknowledge the Father. I thank Him. I thank Him for very intimate things, obviously, in my personal life, but I really thank Him for revealing who His people are, that we would no longer as a collective unit be bound by the lies of, if you don't have hue in your skin, you're Esau. That sets the captives free, right? I really thank him for not choosing us because we were strong in number, but because we were few, because we were weak. I thank him for his sovereignty. I thank him for the men of this ministry, most importantly and always chiefly my husband first. But I really get to witness day to day amazing men, those who desire Yahweh, those who seek him, pray to him, call on him. I'm surrounded by security, and I really thank him for the life that I live. I thank him for the community, and I can't say enough. I thank him for all the videos Texas is able to put out to us and what Texas has going on right now, as well as South Carolina. Blessings to all of you who have joined yourself faithfully to a community. It will be the best decision you have ever made in your life. Hallelujah. Of course, outside of following Yeshua first. Secondly, will be to come and live a set-apart life in a communal home or on a communal land. Hallelujah. Jennifer?
Yes, ma'am. I want to acknowledge our Heavenly Father who continues to extend his mercy to us daughters of Zion, and it's so humbling to have a master who proves daily that he is lovingly committed to us, and he deserves our obedience, our complete and full obedience, and nothing less. I want to acknowledge my head, my master, my elder Rufus, for following the strength of this ministry. Without him, without my head, I wouldn't have been brought to the Straitway Truth ministry. I want to acknowledge our pastor, Pastor Dow, for loving us enough to tell us the painful truth about our nature as women so that we can truly live an abundant and a free life. And I want to acknowledge all of you daughters of Zion who just continue to fight the evil within your own hearts, the ones who are determined to make it to the kingdom no matter what. And that's all I have.
Very good. You always speak so well, and I always want to acknowledge the women who listen and the daughters of Zion who listen as well. My sisters, as we grow to be friends, I really appreciate your attitudes and your respect that you have for me. I appreciate any outward respect that you're able to give, as well as, the efforts that you give in prayer, the time that you have in your minds thinking on us here on the land, as well as us thinking of you. We are all one. I greatly appreciate those of you who are scattered abroad, never forgetting those in other countries. Sister Carrie, bless you, and your husband there in Australia. Let's begin the show. I don't want to always hold the phone calls because I actually desire to take them, but sometimes because of what we may be talking about or me just wanting to get right to the point and get some things out there to edify, I often don't want to hinder it with phone calls. So I promise in the future shows we will take calls. If you ever need me or any sister here, you can call us in the dining hall and the number that's behind Pastor when he speaks in his videos. If you need Georgia, we will contact Georgia for you. There's always someone that can help you, so just reach out. I really liked Elder Mitch's video that he titled By Myself. I really like that. I might even reference it tonight. What we're going to end up talking about and spending a lot of time on, possibly if it goes the way as planned, is a video that Pastor did. What was the full title, Sister Jennifer? Do you know it?
Yes, ma'am. The full title of the video is Learned Helplessness, a Woman, and the date of it was July 4th, 2017. It's on Pastor Dow's YouTube page. Learned Helplessness, a Woman.
Okay, I really like that. So we're gonna, Jennifer and I talked about it, so we chose that as the direction for tonight's show, just to bring what he is saying, basically in full support of what he is saying always, but to bring it maybe more closer to your mind, to your eyes, so you can see yourself, see it in someone else, whatever the case may be, hopefully leading you to become even more clean. I hope you're able to hear tonight. Listen to what the Spirit has for you. All right, his set-apart daughter of Zion. Hopefully you don't have too much going on in the background, but nevertheless, we always have the recordings. I appreciate Mother Beasley, who always titles our shows, and I appreciate Brother Jermaine, who is always posting them for us. All right, so we're going to go, we have a lot of scriptures. I say a lot. We have more scriptures than normal tonight, but we're going to bring it all together. So if you do want to write things down, you can get yourself ready. First, I want to start off with a thing that we had done in the past where I had read a letter. If you were given the opportunity to write our Abba Yahweh a letter, I had read it, and then I had given his answer, and it edified many of you. So we're going to do that again tonight to start off the show. And please have your ears open and really listen, okay? Here goes the hypothetical letter. Dear Abba Father, are you even watching me? Do you even see my tears and my hurts? You sent Yeshua to heal the brokenhearted and set the captives free, but I'm still bound. The more good I do, the more hurt I get. I need answers. I'm wounded. I'm helpless. Sincerely desiring freedom, your daughter. So he returns his letter. My daughter, you have forgotten your first love. Read my servant's writings. Jeremiah 10, 19, and 20. Abba. Okay? Let's go to Jeremiah 10, Sister Jennifer. Let's read a response that the Father would give to someone who took their complaint and their prayer to the Father. Are you even watching me? Do you even see my tears or my hurts? The more good I do, the more hurt I get. I'm wounded. I'm helpless. Someone's just desiring freedom. Okay? Read when you're ready.
For thus saith Yahweh, woe is me for my hurt. My wound is grievous. But I said, truly, this is a grief, and I must bear it. My tabernacle is spoiled, and all my cords are broken. My children are gone forth of me, and they are not. There is none to stretch forth my tent any more, and to set up my curtains.
All right, one more time we're going to read the words of your Father, okay? Because who really takes the time to reflect on his wounds? All right, that's proper perspective. Read Jeremiah 10, 19, and 20. One more time, please.
For thus saith Yahweh, woe is me for my hurt. My wound is grievous. But I said, truly, this is a grief, and I must bear it. My tabernacle is spoiled, and all my cords are broken. My children are gone forth of me, and they are not. There is none to stretch forth my tent any more, and to set up my curtains.
So let's ask you a question, Sister Jennifer. Who actually considers what she has done to hurt, betray, or offend our Father Yahweh?
Obviously, none of us. You know, after reading this, we don't consider him at all. And I believe that if we considered our ways and the effect that it has on the Father, we would understand better how to treat each other, and we wouldn't, continually be rebuked and corrected on our lack of love for one another, because we would understand that when we transgress against one another or when we withhold good from one another, that we actually do those things unto the Most High. So we don't, none of us.
So let's give a few examples of things that may have hurt our Father that are written down. And, unless you're building an intimate relationship with the Father, this show is not going to benefit you. and thinking on his ways is not in you. So we're definitely speaking to those who can relate to your father. Jennifer, will you go to, we all know it, Hosea 4:6. I'm going to read 1 Samuel 8:19. Let's go through a few of these. 1 Samuel 8:19. Nevertheless, the people refused to obey the voice of Samuel. And they said, nay, we will have a king over us. Okay? That was not Yah's will for the people. But yet it went forth because of what? They refused to obey the voice of this man. They wanted a king. All right? This is just one impacting time that Yah is having to endure. He says his wound is grievous. But he says he must bear it. And Yahweh also says, woe is me. Read Hosea 4:6.
My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy Elohim, I will also forget thy children.
Can you imagine the pain that would cause Yahweh? That we would reject him and reject his knowledge? That he would have to punish us in a way to, bring about a next generation effect or up to 10 generation effect for those who don't obey his commandments? Now, he's in all his glory, seated on his throne, the creator of all things. You exist because of him. You breathe because of him. But yet you are reflecting on your pain, your wounds, what you've been through, what someone's done to you. Okay? Last one, Mark 7:9.
And he said unto them, full well ye reject the commandment of Yah, that ye may keep your own tradition.
You see, once again, another rejection. So that what? So that we will hold on to our own traditions, what we believe, what we think is right, the way we are already walking, so that no change will be made. We're going to continue to talk about Jeremiah for a moment, because in Jeremiah, now think about this. You have a man of Yah, okay? You have this prophet who has impeccable character compared to you, me, okay? A man who walks with the Father. And he prayed a prayer. Jennifer, go Jeremiah 15. I'm going to have you read 19 through 21. But I'm going to read verse 18, which is just the question on the tail end of his prayer, of his communication to the Father. Okay, so Jeremiah 15:18, that's me. I'm going to read it. Jeremiah says, why is my pain perpetual and my wound incurable, which refuses to be healed? See, we don't understand this grief. We don't understand this wound and this pain that he's speaking of. No, we don't. We have our own, yes, and we have all that we can bear, but we don't understand this. Why is my pain perpetual, my wound incurable, which refuses to be healed? Will you be altogether unto me as a liar and as waters that fail? That's what he's asking the Father. Are you going to be a liar to me? Aren't you going to heal me? Right? Read verse 19 through 21, please.
Therefore, thus saith Yahweh, if thou return, then will I bring thee again, and thou shalt stand before me. And if thou take forth the precious from the vial, thou shalt be as my mouth. Let them return unto thee, but return not thou unto them. And I will make thee unto this people a fenced brazen wall. And they shall fight against thee, but they shall not prevail against thee. For I am with thee to save thee and to deliver thee, saith Yahweh. And I will deliver thee out of the hand of the wicked, and I will redeem thee out of the hand of the terrible.
So you hear his promises to, as he's speaking to Jeremiah, as he's speaking to his people, I'm going to make you this is what's going to happen to your enemy, I'm going to save you, I'm going to deliver you, I'm going to deliver you from the hand of the wicked, I'll redeem you. He's given him promises because why? He has pain that's perpetual, he has wounds that's incurable. Jeremiah 30, verse 11. We're building scriptures first, so we're going to be doing a lot of talking towards the end, so hang with us, okay? We're still focusing on Jeremiah because he's having this conversation with Yahweh.
You ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. For I am with thee, saith Yahweh, to save thee, though I make a full end of all nations, whither I have scattered thee. Yet will I not make a full end of thee. But I will correct thee in measure, and will not leave thee altogether unpunished.
Continue to verse 15.
For thus saith Yahweh, thy bruise is incurable, and thy wound is grievous. There is none to plead thy cause, that thou mayest be bound up. Thou hast no healing medicines. All thy lovers have forgotten thee. They seek thee not. For I have wounded thee with the wound of an enemy, with the chastisement of a cruel one, for the multitude of thine iniquity, because thy sins were increased. Why criest thou for thine affliction? Thy sorrow is incurable for the multitude of thine iniquity, because thy sins were increased. I have done these things unto thee.
All right. So these verses may not make any sense to you unless you really bring it home and make an impact, okay? So he's saying that I will correct you in measure. That's off the top, right there written. Now, how is Yahweh going to correct you? He's not going to come down, as I always say, and sit in your living room or sit at your table and eat with you. He's already made his appearance on earth. His next return is when he comes with flames of fire to redeem his people. So if he's going to correct you in measure, it's going to come from his servants. It's going to come from his men, his leaders. It's not going to come from a woman. It's going to come from his people. It's going to come from his standard, his laws, the established order that he already has. He says to you, daughter, Israel, he's speaking in this context, servant Jacob, that I will not leave you unpunished. Okay? So us all deserving of that punishment, when you look up behind it, it says, I'm not going to leave you altogether clean. You're not just going to be clean. All right? So throw away Christian doctrine. Because why? Your bruise is incurable. Your wound is grievous. You have no healing medicines. He says, I have wounded you as an enemy. I did this. And he even asked, why are you crying? Because you're being punished. Because of your affliction. Why are you crying? Because he says, I have done this to you. Your sorrow is incurable because of your own sin and your own iniquity. So that's restitution. That's a payment here and now that we have to go through the fire. I'm going to read Lamentations real quick. It's going to make sense if it doesn't already, okay? Lamentations 1:14 through 17. Okay? The yoke of my transgressions is bound by his hand. Y'all understand that sovereignty? The yoke of my transgressions is bound by his hand. They are wreathed and come upon my neck. He hath made my strength to fall. Yahweh hath delivered me into their hands, from whom I am not able to rise up. Yah hath trodden under foot all my mighty men in the midst of me. He hath called an assembly against me to crush my young men, and Yahweh hath trodden the virgin, the daughter of Judah, as in a winepress. You see what kind of judgment this is on his people? You think he's not hurting? And at the same time, he has no problem holding his righteous standards. Verse 16, for these things I weep. This is Lamentations. For these things I weep. Mine eye runneth down with water, because the comforter that should relieve my soul is far from me. My children are desolate, because the enemy prevailed. Zion spreadeth forth her hands, and there is none to comfort her. Remember he said, your bruise is incurable, your wound is grievous, there's no healing medicines. So Yahweh had commanded concerning Jacob that his adversaries should be around about him, and Jerusalem is as a menstruous woman among them. Okay, I'm going to stop there just because I'm trying to at least show you that this is in a way very similar to the letter that we read initially to Abba Yahweh, to a person who's crying out, lamenting from a wounded spirit, from a helplessness, with no sincere desire to change just what has been done to her. Now, there is a balance, right, Sister Jennifer, when you are seeking Yah, you are going to go before him as a wounded servant, as a punished servant, if this is even making sense, because you have to have a relationship with the Father, but you're going to go to him as sovereign of your life, but it's not in helplessness. But we say, Jennifer, Job 34:5, please go there. We are guilty of saying, just as Job has said, chapter 34, verse 5. Go ahead when you're ready.
For Job hath said, I am righteous, and Yah has taken away my judgment.
I am righteous, and Yah has taken away my judgment. And everything else that is going on around me is because of all of them, and him, and her, and she, and he, and, okay? It's nothing that he did or he's putting on me. It's because I'm now righteous. I'm in his covenant. I'm under his covering. I'm following Torah. I'm listening to this preacher or that pastor. I'm going to this ministry. I'm listening to this Jewish messianic. Whatever your thing is, I'm righteous now. So if Yah says in his own situation, when he describes the destruction that has even happened to his tabernacle, pull up Jeremiah 10:19 and 20 again. If he's going to say, this is grief and I must bear it, then, daughters of Zion, we need to accept bearing our own iniquity. There's a humility that you embrace because you are undeserving of his mercy, but at the same time you are a recipient of it. Now, he hurts because of our sins and our iniquities. He hurts because of your disrespect and your selfishness and your manipulation. But you desire freedom, huh? Continuing and perpetuating this helplessness, you're desiring freedom. And we're going to get to David just briefly, eventually. And when we touch on him, you'll understand what kind of character. It wasn't about his tone or his attitude or how he delivered or how he prayed or how he ministered his kingdom or any of the little tiddly things that all the flesh worries about, especially as they attack the man of Yah. It's not all about your opinion. It was the life he lived and the prayers and the connection that he had with the Father that actually got him answers from him being wounded in the house of his friends. So read Jeremiah 10:19 and 20. Let's think one more time on Yahweh's pain.
Woe is me for my hurt. My wound is grievous. But I said, truly, this is a grief, and I must bear it. My tabernacle is spoiled, and all my cords are broken. My children are gone forth of me, and they are not. There is none to stretch forth my tent any more, and to set up my curtains.
So didn't Yahweh say, I will dwell in you. You are my temple. I will be your Yah. You will be my people. So you can liken verse 20, you can liken that to now in this dispensation, our desire for holiness, our desire for him, our desire for his spirit, as Pastor labors to bring forth the truth concerning his righteousness and his holiness. Don't forget that word. There's a famine for it. So our desire for him, his ways. If he says, I'm going to dwell in you and you are my temple, what does he think about his dwelling in you? What does he think? What is it? What kind of emotion? What kind of pain have you put him through? See, we got to go this route so that you can humble yourself to hear his word. And so you'll get your finger off of everyone else. And Proverbs 20, verse 27 says, the spirit of man, all right, not the spirit of Yah, the spirit of man is the candle of Yah, searching all the inward parts of the belly. So my spirit, your spirit, her spirit, everyone who's living and breathing, he's able to see all of you, everything about you, all your lies, all your manipulations, all your dominations, all the ways that are contrary to his holiness, all your desires for the flesh and the world and your lust to the flesh instead of your lust for his spirit and your drive for his kingdom. Because the spirit in you is a candle to him. You know how bright a candle is? One time, it was recently actually, we lost power for, let's say, an hour. And I had to light a candle. Actually, it was a lanyard, like a small, similar to a candle, very small lamp, just so I could see to do my work on the cutting board in the kitchen, just to continue to prepare for the saints. And you can see clearly. You can see the fragments and the particles on the cutting board. You can see the trash on the counter, or if you were peeling an onion, everything I was doing, you can see clearly. The spirit of man is the candle of Yah, searching all the inward parts of the belly. There's no healing for you except through him, daughter of Zion. And for some of you, hey, I make no apologies. Your healing is going to come through this man of Yah, this ministry, this people. There is no other way for you. Because you've tried to find all these other ways. You tried to listen to all these other people. You try to do it your way for so long. He's not going to give you healing. So you have to desire his spirit and you have to desire his holiness. That's what makes living set apart so special. That's how we can function completely different. That's how I can think completely different from someone who has not forsaken all. I have a lot of sisters even around this land, not living on the land, who forsaken much. So we as a people who have come out of her, we think different. So there's no one else to heal you, rebellious woman. There's no man to love you. There's nowhere to turn. As helpless as you feel, as wounded as you are, there's no healing medicines. Let's go one more scripture verse because I got to get you in here too, and I haven't forgotten you, Jennifer. Will you go Hosea 5?
Yes, ma'am. Verses 3 through 6.
You got it.
I know Ephraim, and Israel is not hid from me. For now, O Ephraim, thou committest whoredom, and Israel is defiled. They will not frame their doing to turn unto their Yah, for the spirit of whoredom is in the midst of them, and they have not known Elohim. And the pride of Israel doth testify to his face. Therefore shall Israel and Ephraim fall in their iniquity. Judah also shall fall with them.
All right, just another painful prophecy for the father. Go to verse 13 through 15 as I speak just for a moment, okay? So he's speaking about Ephraim and Israel. I'm just using this as an example. And he's talking about the whoredoms. He's talking about them being defiled. He's talking about how they will not turn to Yah, but how they have the spirit of whoredoms, okay? That the spirit of whoredoms is in the midst of them. And their pride testifies to his face. And so he is proclaiming Ephraim's going to fall in his iniquity. Judah's going to fall with them. All right? But let's read what happens. Basically, Yah removes himself. Okay? Imagine his hurt once again as he goes through this, verse 13 through 15, same chapter, Hosea 5.
When Ephraim saw his sickness, and Judah saw his wound, then went Ephraim to the Assyrian, and sent to King Jareb. Could he not heal you, nor cure you of your wound? For I will be unto Ephraim as a lion, and as a young lion to the house of Judah. I, even I, will tear and go away. I will take away, and none shall rescue him. I will go and return to my place till they acknowledge their offense and seek my face. In their affliction, they will seek me early.
Yes, ma'am. So just reflecting on that, okay? So you have what he declared as Ephraim and Judah, their pride, their whoredoms, the prophecy that's going to go forth and what's going to happen to them. Once again, imagine his hurt. So Yah removes himself, and what happens is, focusing on verse 13 through 15, they seek another way. They still seek another way. It says Ephraim saw his sickness. Judah saw his wound. But yet still Ephraim went to the Assyrian. So as we always say on this show, you know, go to your doctor, go to your witch doctor, go to your physician, your pharmacist, go to your pastor, go to the assembly you call your own, go wherever you want to go. There's no healing medicines for you. None. And so they sought another way, and imagine Yahweh's pain, his wound, what he's going through, to watch his people continually perpetuate the same patterns. And we are no different even yet and still. And he says, I'm going to go and I'm going to return to my place. Imagine his hypocrisy if he didn't. What kind of sovereign would he be if he just continually tolerated his people? Because he says, early on, Jeremiah 10, this is my wound, it's grievous, but I must bear it. So till they what? Till they acknowledge their offense. Till they seek my face in their affliction. Then there will be a change that is made. All right, Jennifer, many scriptures, but tell me what's on your heart.
You know, we talked about, it being a grief to Yahweh, and it wounds him if we don't hear, if we choose not to hear. And we have the ability to hear the words of Yah through the messenger that he chooses. You know, the pastors, the Jeremiah 3:15 pastors that he's given us, the elders and the deacons that are ordained. And when the messages are coming from the pulpit and we refuse to hear because we don't agree, or, we don't like what's being said, we don't like how it's being said, the obstinate in our hearts, it becomes grievous. And it actually does wound the Father, that he says it's something that he must bear. And you talked about Proverbs 20:27, and this is why this ministry teaches the importance of having the Spirit of Yah living within us, because without him, it's impossible to search ourselves in righteousness, our inward of the belly. We would give ourselves a pass, but Yah requires righteousness in every part of our being, where we would just kind of overlook things. So, it's very, very good. I believe that if we all got to the point of really focusing on the things that we've done to Yah, the offenses that we have caused, the things that we've done to him, instead of focusing on ourselves, then we can really be healed.
Very good, because it doesn't sound like, even in this first Hosea 5:15, I will go and return to my place. This is your heavenly Father. He's going to go and return to his place until they acknowledge their offense and until they seek my face. And in their affliction, they will seek me early. So it's not sounding like Yah is so focused on our wounds and what is being done to us as much as our feelings and emotions are focused on them from day to day. As Elder Rufus even said, self-inflicted. That was the word he used, even testifying of his own walk, of his own self. Majority of his, I'm putting words in his mouth because I don't remember the phrase other than self-inflicted, but, majority of his issues or the things he's been through, it's self-inflicted. You bring things about on your own, on yourself. I want to read a couple of paragraphs. They're short in a book that I often reference. Discerning and Defeating the Ahab Spirit, but It says, numerous counselors have told me that passive people are usually the ones who seek therapy, all right, and therapy being a means of help, okay? They usually come in and say that their partner is treating them inappropriately, with disrespect, bashing them, putting them down. They not only want that behavior to stop, but they are desperately seeking intimacy and connection. But aggressive people, on the other hand, rarely seek help at all because they see no need to change. They are accusatory, blaming, and complaining about the other partner, believing they have no fault. They are all about themselves. They do not want to even do relationships. Their woundedness is about avoiding intimacy and connection at all costs. They are content to live without intimacy and have no inclination to change anything. Therefore, it is the passive person in such a relationship who is desperate for connection and will seek help, and the aggressive person in the relationship that will avoid it. Interesting, huh, Jennifer? Anything on your heart after I read that?
Definitely interesting. You know, it really makes you really consider and think. You know, Pastor says that the people that he has the most problems out of, the people that you have to watch are the ones who refuse to get any deliverance. And, you know, if you have one who is aggressive or one who is prideful, then you're going to be one to actually complain. You're not going to even be humble enough to admit your fault. You're not going to be humble enough to realize that you need deliverance, that the problem is really you. So, you know, it really is true.
And I want to ask you, imagine this, sisters, okay? Imagine, right? Because a large majority of us have either been able to help someone, sit down and counsel someone, get counseling or whatever as we're making connections with each other. Imagine actually sitting down and having a conversation with a Proverbs 7 woman. Now, if you know a Proverbs 31 woman, you need to spend some time in Proverbs 7. It will benefit you, especially those who are trolling pastor. That I've never seen them jump over to the Helpmeets page and try to make some of the same slanderous comments, because they're not going to come against, or maybe they will, I'm just saying, they're going to come against his manhood or try to make stabs at the truth that he's delivering. But when they see it and see the women that support him and the women that support their husbands and live this word, a lot of their words are just going to fall to the wayside. So a Proverbs 7 woman is someone who is critically wounded, I'm going to say. Because in her response, in her behavior, you see her going about her life carefree and very, what would you say, what's a good adjective for a Proverbs 7 woman, Jennifer?
Well, in the word it says that she's loud and stubborn. You know, and that her feet abide not in her house. So she's loud and stubborn, and she's a wanderer. So those are three good adjectives I would use to actually describe her.
Very good. So let's talk about her for a second. What was the name of the hypothetical woman that I pretended to be so many shows ago? Was it Tanya?
Tanya, yes, ma'am.
Tanya. Let's bring Tanya back for a moment, okay? Because you know she's everything. She's from passive to aggressive to helpless to assertive to she's everything. So we're gonna blame her again, all right? So this is, if you've just now tuned into the show and you missed past or previous shows, it's just a hypothetical woman that we bring up to use as a example of some of the things that we discuss on the show. So with Tanya being critically wounded, let's talk about her. Y'all hang with me. I know it's going to be lengthy because I got to paint this picture. I talk to a lot of sisters, but maybe not even as much as Mother Carol talks to them, or even Jennifer. But I want to try to really make you understand her. Okay. So Tanya had a terrible past. Okay. She had a terrible upbringing. And I do not think I have ever met someone who was so wounded. Now, her parents, let's say she was sexually and physically abused, okay, and received absolutely no love growing up. She married into an abusive relationship, and finally, after having multiple children, she was divorced. So because of her extreme woundings, Tanya now has a major rejection complex. And the problem is that no one can speak truth to her because she can't hear it. And it's difficult to talk to her because she interprets everything as rejection. If you ever disagree or contradict what she wants to hear or what she wants to think, then she's going to convert it to an attack mode. And that's when it's basically serious trouble. But her response is to attack anyone that she feels might speak truth to her, but she takes no responsibility for her behavior. So then she's always reverting back to justifying her behavior, spiritualizing her anger and all her fleshly outbursts. If she doesn't get her way, she manipulates with tears and emotional breakdowns, creating a lot of drama. And although she always demands that everyone show her sympathy, she can also be hardcore. So Tanya says she wants the truth, but in reality, she can't handle it. So ultimately, Tanya and wounded people like her, they just want to be loved. But they repel the very people or the person or the minister or the pastor that is trying to love them. So they're going to fish for compliments. Pay attention to that, because you can be in a conversation and truly be fishing for someone to say something good about you. So every time that she walks into a room, she wants to be seen. She wants to be noticed. She's fishing for compliments. So if they perceive, these type of people, if she perceives that she's unnoticed, then she becomes offended. So these people, she often has an emotional addiction to someone. Let's call it an obsession, because she's continually trying to force that person to love her, have pity on her. And often people this wounded, I got to say this, they're actually sexually addicted because they interpret sex as love. Now, Tanya talks incessantly. She just wants someone to give her an ear. She wants to vent. She wants someone to hear her side of the story. But she won't let anyone be a voice to speak into her life. So she displays a chronic spirit of neediness, helplessness, where she has to just be the center of attention. And in so many of these types of people with rejection, they feel they can do or say anything they want, but they insist that you respond to them only in love, and only the way they want to hear it, and only the tone, and only the words that they would use. See, more or less, let me vent, spew all my venom, but you sit there, you take it, and you sympathize with my sick perspective. And additionally, they are suspicious of everyone. And whenever there's a disagreement with someone, they not only try to attack the person, but they try to collect as many people as they can. See, this sounds just like Pastor's video. This is what he's saying. They try to collect as many people as they can to get on board with them and agree that the other person's bad. And such people are so addicted to drama. They cannot seem to deal with peace and quiet. They cannot seem to deal with people that are peaceable and quiet. because they believe that everyone thinks and functions like they do, which is dramatic. So it's not uncommon for them to start fights, be in fights, usually over something irrelevant, but only to say, consciously or subconsciously, only to say that they are not getting enough attention. So they just perpetuate this drama to be the focus. And if you let people who are wounded this severely do something for you, then they own you. And you'll never hear the end of it. Because they'll use guilt, condemnation, threats to get a payback for every favor that they ever did for you. And usually it's a favor they suggested in the first place because they want you to feel obligated to them. I hope this is making sense. I'm going to wrap it up. A few more thoughts, okay? Because what confuses many is that those who manifest such an aggressive or controlling or critically wounded, helpless Jezebel personality can be what we can call, or pastor can call, spiritually schizophrenic. Because on the one hand, they show a spiritual side. But then at any point, they can change personalities and you don't know who you're dealing with. And then they got you turning in circles thinking you did something wrong, said something wrong, done sinned against the Father, or what's the deal? Because you done, made a mistake. But really, then at any point, when they change personalities, first they can talk on one side of their neck and say how they're used of Yah, how Yah talks to them, how they're studying, they're doing this, all their works, and how they're following him, but then they go ballistic, they attack someone, their marriage is a wreck, their children are in a disarray, the home's not in order, etc., etc. So if critically wounded people, such as Tanya, do allow themselves to hear and absorb the truth, then they recognize they must change. It's the confession and going back to the Father. He's going to what? Hide himself and go away into his place until you recognize your offense. It doesn't matter how great of an offense or how much embarrassment you have to deal with in your emotions. He's going to wait on you to approach him. So they realize that the responsibility for change is on them, on you, on me, yet they don't want to change. Who? Extremely wounded people. They don't want to change because they do not want to go through the painful process of facing the truth to receive healing for their wounds. Now, if they refuse to hear the truth, then they are destined to stay stuck in their woundedness and continue to blame everyone else around them, even if it's just the husband that's continually the victim. Even if it's blaming the devil when you want to spiritualize everything and, oh, it's a spirit and it's a devil and he made me do it, and you want to blame everybody but you for what is wrong in your life. That's a Tanya. Jennifer?
Just like, the person that she just explained, Pastor Dow, explained this exact person in his video, and it's important to not get caught up in smooth words or not get pulled in by tears, and to really listen to what is being said and to understand the actions of such a person. And really the best person to discern this in is yourself first, so that you can discern it in others. And, like Pastor said, they will even turn the hearts of the children against the father of the home. And children are so young and they have a connection with their mother, and they're not going to automatically discern the evil in their mothers when they're so young. And so, this is a prime example of turning away the hearts of the children, turning the hearts cold, turning them away from the heart of the fathers. And, they really have no understanding of what true love is. And when you do exhibit love, or you do show love, like Sister Ashley said, there's the spirit of rejection won't even allow them to receive it. And you'll be accused of hating them, or, hurting them or harming them. You'll be accused of being that person that they knew 20 years ago who, did this to them, or whatever it may be. And there really is a sense or a spirit of entitlement that is connected with people like this, like they are, like, you owe me something. And this can be something that we can all carry around. We're not talking about some false, fictitious character. This is something that we all need to check ourselves on.
Right. Going back to our earlier speech when we said, what would a conversation be like if you sat down and you spoke to a Proverbs 7 woman? I'm sure this particular woman would be, she would express to you what everyone else has ever done to her. But yet you have an entire chapter to go, well, you've been running the streets, you're guilty, you've been a harlot, you've slain many men and wounded them, wounded strong men. Go Proverbs 7:26, please, Sister Jennifer. You're guilty of all these sins. It wouldn't matter if it's the loud and the stubborn initiation of Proverbs 7 or if it's the sexual sins that she carries out when her man is gone and she lays with another. And you're going to tell me how helpless you are, how wounded you are, and what someone has done to you? Proverbs 7:26.
For she hath cast down many wounded, yea, many strong men have been slain by her.
So that once again reminds me of Pastor's video, because many men have been slain by her. By her. He talks about how they're just trying to bring pressure against a strong man, a man that may be refusing her emotions. But it's because, why does she murmur, he says in the video. Why does a woman murmur? Because bottom line, here you go, sisters, the home isn't functioning like you want it to. So you use your power of your tongue or your complaints or your murmuring or your spirit or your emotions as a tactic, he says, to bring pressure against a strong man. As you just read, this is the type of woman that will slay many strong men, wound them. But I guarantee if you sat down and talked to her, she's critically wounded. She got a life history that of abuse, victimized, battered, as Pastor said, not even a drop of blood, no bruises, no scratches, nothing, but yet always the victim. So Jennifer, please share the date and the title of the video one more time. And please, if you don't mind pulling up any of the comments on that video. The reason I'm asking her to give the date and title, the reason that she is giving the date and title, is so that you may go back and see something that you should have already seen. And if you haven't, please go check it out. It's going to relate to this show. But address any of the comments. I've only seen a few. There may even been more added since we've done the show tonight. But let's address some of these comments that are being posted about this video.
Yes, ma'am. The title of the video is Learned Helplessness, a Woman. And the date is July 4th, 2017, and it's on YouTube, Pastor Dowell's YouTube page. I'm going to read a couple of the comments, and the reason that we want to do this is because, some of the comments in here may reflect a voice, a common voice that you may hear. And so, as sisters, we just really want to go through this and just kind of address them as we come across them. First question or first comment is, why is this pastor talking about women all the time? I'm going to read it again. Why is this pastor talking about women all the time? I want to read, we're in Proverbs 7. I want to read verse 26 again. I'll read verse 26 and 27. It says, for she has cast down many wounded, yea, many strong men have been slain by her. Her house is the way to hell, going down to the chambers of death. So the reason that our pastor talks about women so much is because he loves women. And these are messages of love. Depending on what you have in your own heart, you may hear it as hate. You may hear it as rejection. It's all in the way that you hear. But the reason that our pastor is always talking about women because of, the character, the nature of a woman really needs to be talked about, because he loves us enough to tell us about the nature of a woman so we don't continue in that same nature, to actually give us a chance to live righteously. And we haven't experienced that until now, until the faith. We've been lied to our whole lives. No one has ever told us the truth until now. So we're at a point where we just choose to accept this as true. And so it may be offended to those who, are not even used to this way, who don't love the truth, but we embrace it as truth. Sister Ashley, did you want to comment on that?
I was listening so intently that what I had to say slipped my mind. If it comes back up, I'll interject it. But I appreciate you. Just go ahead. Go on.
Yes, ma'am. Next question. It says, or comment, I'm sorry. It says, you complain about women's emotions, but you forget Yah created us the way we are as women. So if you have a problem with that, which was given us by Yah himself, I believe you and other males should take that up with him. Let me read it again. You complain about women's emotions, but you forget Yah created us the way we are as women. So if you have a problem with that, which was given us by Yah himself, I believe you and other males should take that up. Comment that I want to make to this is that, the title of the video really answers this, Learned Helplessness. And when I was looking this comment over with Elder Rufus, he was really stressing the fact, that this person really didn't even look at the title. This is a learned behavior. You have learned to be this way through feminism, through, all these other women's movements. And having emotions and being led by your emotions are two different things. Yah created women to have emotions, but he didn't command us to be led by them. We have learned the behavior of being led by our emotions, which leads to sin. And Yah did not create us to follow our emotions. So this is a learned behavior. Yah did not create us that way. And this is a way that we accuse Yah, so we're already grievous, but then what we want to do is our self-inflicted pain, we want to blame it on Yah. So we did not get created this way. Did you want to add to that, Sister Ashley?
I do. Judging from the first two comments you've read, so why does this pastor talk about women all the time? Now jump into you need to take this up with Yah, pointing their finger and placing an issue on him. I'm just speaking to the daughters of Zion. I'm definitely not speaking to the trolls or to, I say trolls just because pastor does, but I'm really meaning anyone who would follow us from a distance without the heart to change. It is very important that you rid yourself of the voice of agreement with the statements and the comments that are made when they are posted against the ministry or against the man of Yah. If that doesn't make sense to you, then you need to take that concern to Yah. But why you would need to rid yourself of the voice of agreement if you hear in your mind, yeah, why does he talk about women all the time? Yeah, he do need to take that up with Yah. Yeah, it does sound like he be saying this. Man, he always does. All that's in you will take you away from here and away from Yah. It doesn't matter whether you believe me when I state it. It's the perpetual pattern of women. We are who we are in this ministry because of our men. Do we teach them good? Yes. Do we show them the assembly? Yes. Right now is about restoration. Things get ugly. My husband says, when you restore a building, does it look beautiful? When you got to strip the wallpaper and tear off the trim? or rebuild the roof, or tear off the deck, or restore a building, or as even Yahweh has stated, his tabernacle that's destroyed and spoiled, and the curtains are ripped, and all the things are in a disarray. Does it look beautiful? Nope, it doesn't. So you, being in a restoration individually, as well as in the body, being gathered unto him, being restored unto him, it's not going to appeal to your flesh. But you have to focus on ridding yourself of the voice of agreement to the negative comments. If you're going to follow us, as we follow Yeshua, if you're going to follow Pastor, you cannot read these comments and be in agreement. Obviously, comment number 2, take it up with Yah, is a feminist. Obviously. Because she's justified. And she cannot be walking set apart. She cannot be repented or holy. It doesn't matter what she looks like, sounds like, sings like, walks like. She would be able to relate to the wounded person. She'd be able to relate to the Proverbs 7. She'd be able to justify all the women that are in sin. See, we could turn this show into, we wouldn't, Yah forbid. I'm just giving an example. If we want to appease flesh and emotions and reach all the many listeners that we may have and talk to them about all the things we have in common and all our emotions, and doesn't it just feel like a curse? To have emotions? It's like, man, we just can't express anything. If I say this, it's wrong. I do this, it's wrong. He's against me. He's making my husband against me. He's putting my family against me. See, all that is what you are hearing because your walk with the Hasatan is personal too. He's not going to give up you, a trophy on his wall, easily. You gotta exercise some discernment in order to unlearn learned helplessness. Proceed, please, Sister Jennifer.
Yes, ma'am. And I just wanted to add, the emotions, we don't have to be led by emotions. When you look at Ruth and Naomi's relationship, that's an example of emotions being used for righteousness. When you look at the Maccabean mother in the Apocrypha, that is one woman who used her emotions to show her passion and his ways. So we do have righteous examples, and that just proves that we have learned another way. The next comment I want to read, it says, Yah knows all things, secret and far off. Why did he put women in the garden knowing she was evil? I can't help but wonder what would have been the outcome if Eve had never come into existence. I'm going to read it one more time. Yah knows all things, secret and far off. Why did he put woman in the garden knowing she was evil? I can't help but wonder what would have been the outcome if Eve had never come into existence. We've all been given free will. That is something that Yah had given us when he created us. And, we're told, choose ye this day whom ye shall serve. Choose life or death. Choose blessings or curses. And we're also told that there's no temptation that has overtaken us except that which is common to man. And we're not tempted beyond what we can bear. So he always gives us or provides a way out of our temptation so that we can actually endure it. So we have choices, to either continue to sin and make excuses. We can blame Eve, or we can blame Yah, or we can actually choose to overcome the nature of the woman, the nature that we have learned through this American society. Sister Ashley, do you want to add to that?
I do. It's a common question that Christians would have. Why did he put Eve in the garden? Eve in the garden. Eve in the garden. You hear that? they take everything else, toss it out, capitalize on the very initiation of creation to justify believing and thinking and staying the same way. Well, why did he give us commandments if he knew we were going to break them? Why did he make Saul king if he knew it'd rebel? Why did he divide his kingdom? Why didn't he keep it as one? Why did he give us Jesus if he knew Jesus was just going to die? Why did he give us John if John was just going to be beheaded? Right? Why did he give us prophets if they're just going to be hated? So see, this is just a tactic as a commenter, as a keyboard ninja, to just ensnare someone who's going to agree with the comment to make them stay away. When really, it's very easy to agree to contend. It's not easy to agree in truth because that takes change. But if I'm going to form some kind of contention, then I can go any Christian route. Just as I said earlier, we can make this show any kind of foolish. We could have thousands of women following us, Jennifer, if we get on here and, chit chat, share jokes, spiritualize, prophesy a lie, share our dreams and our visions we ain't never had. Right? This is a straight and narrow way. So I say that because when you're reading comments, you need to think more about the comment than just agreement. Once again, I'm going back to ridding yourself to any voice of agreement. It's just going to keep you from his people. It's just going to keep you from him. It's going to keep you from crying out. It's going to keep you from being healed from your wounds. You have no healing medicines. Where are you going to go? Where are you going to go? Jennifer?
And, this type of thinking, that, Yah knows all things. And if he knew that woman was going to sin, why even set her up? This type of thinking right here is really to get you to believe that Yah is unjust or that he is power hungry. And I'm telling you, this is the type of thinking that you need to stay far, far away from. When you're looking through the comments and you're reading things like this, if you have any type of agreement in you regarding comments, such as these, you really, really need to check yourself and check your spirit. Comment I want to read. Why are messages like this so painful to hear? Why are messages like this so painful to hear? Now, in the video, Pastor actually says that, the truth is painful. So, yeah, the truth is painful. And to accept that truth, it commands a change in your actions. And we don't consider how painful or grievous it is for the one that's actually given the message. And if you watch that video, and this is what I believe is sad. I believe it's sad that, certain videos Pastor makes, he has to preface the video. He stopped and he said, let me go this direction, and he had to tell everyone, I love women. I love my wife. I love my sisters. That really shouldn't even have to be said. If he's a man of Yah and he's telling us the truth, he shouldn't have to preface the truth with, telling us a little bit about who he is and assuring us that he doesn't hate women. But because of the mindset of the people that are watching these videos, he already knows where your minds are going to go and you're not going to be able to hear. So, again, we don't even consider how painful or grievous it is for the one that is giving the message, and we don't consider the burden that we place on the Father that he bears daily. So we're always thinking about ourselves, and that's why, messages can be so painful to hear. And truth would really be easier to accept if we took the focus off of ourselves and stopped acting like we are the victim. I'm not saying that, there won't be pain associated with it, because there is pain that is associated with the fact when you need to repent. When your heart is convicted, there is pain involved. But if we just really stop taking the focus off of ourselves and stop acting like the victim, then the truth would be easier to accept. Sister Ashley?
Very good. And did y'all know that I can only understand Pastor in part, but even for this show, because we know where the minds are going to go, we have to say things a certain way, not apologetically by any means. But we have to say things, or as she even said, he's got to state, I love women, I love the body. That's what he's saying. I love the body in the house of faith. I love, my wife. That's what he's stating. And she said he shouldn't have to say that because he's establishing or hoping to establish a firm foundation in your mind that you will listen without wavering and just acknowledge the truth in hopes to be godly. That's the same thing that goes on with this show. In order for us to speak, we have to know how things are going to be received. Obviously, we walk with the same emotions as you all do. We're the same creature, no better, no worse. So it's just something to consider when you're hearing someone speak. It's not a light thing. But what is that? I saw a T-shirt. I think even around here I've seen the T-shirt. It says like pain is fear leaving the body, something like that. But in this particular instance, when you're hearing a video or embracing what you hear, or the truth is being told from pastor, pain is sin leaving the body. If you allow it to leave, if you acknowledge the truth in hopes to be godly. So you're only sensing the pain that comes with your guiltiness, or comes with the nature that we have in us to operate in the manner that he's speaking of. So it can be very liberating to state that, or it can be very binding to withhold it. To see there's a lot of freedom in just allowing yourself and the spirit inside of you to acknowledge the truth. You just say amen. See, none of these comments have said you're lying. What you're saying is not the truth. They're just saying, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? They just pointing their finger, that's all. We can deal with that. Come on over to Straitway Helpmeets and point your finger. Point your finger at how we dress. Point your finger at how we live, how we sacrifice, how we live our lives as an open book just so that you may be edified. I had a sister that was so surprised yesterday when I said, I don't do the videos because I love to do the videos. She's like, really? I thought you loved to do that. No, I do it for the people. I do it for the people because I know if I was in Australia, if I was in Finland, if I was in Germany, if I was in Texas, it doesn't matter. I want to see the people of Yah. So I'm not withholding my life because, oh, man, I ain't dressed right today, or, oh, shoot, my head cover looking crazy, or I got this going on or that going on. No, I'm always going to share if it helps you, if it shows you us. You see? So it's all about sacrifice and change. It's not about me. It's not about me. It's not about you, Jennifer. Go ahead.
There was one comment from a man, and I'm not going to address his comment. What I will address is the state that us women actually got this man to. He says, thanks for this video, Pastor Dow. After watching this, I'm really considering being a eunuch. I've been in the truth over 5 years, and it seems like finding a good woman has become more and more hard by the day. So think of what this man has experienced in his life from possibly a mother or maybe an ex-wife. I don't know, but, there's some bad experiences out there that this man has had. And think about your role as a woman, your interactions as a woman with your sons. What are you doing with your sons? Are you destroying their confidence in women? Are you ruining them so that one day they're not even going to want to be married? They're just going to want to go their own way, not even provide for a woman, not even have a family. So that's what I wanted to bring out in that one. Think about what you're doing as a woman to actually tear down the men that you have in your own life. Sister Ashley?
It's a good point, Sister Jennifer, because if you think about it, in a lot of childhood situations, all you did was emotionally support the passive parent. You emotionally supported the victim. So if Dad seemed like Mom was always on him, you supported him. Not in righteousness, just because of your emotions. Once again, your opinions. So it is the children thing is very. Man, Satan's after the seed. You know, so it's a very delicate situation to raise them, have a good balance in all that you do, as well as no fear and failure. Let me go here real quick. There's two. If I may I interject something, Sister Jennifer? Do you have any more comments that you're reading?
No, ma'am. I have no more. You go. No, ma'am. You go right ahead.
Okay, going back to this book, Discerning and Defeating the Ahab Spirit, not one that I referenced so that you all need to go buy it. It's just every once in a while it brings up a good point. I'll give you two. It talks about Jezebel, the narcissist, and it talks about Ahab, the martyr. So let me just read this to you in case it helps at all. Also realizing, being a deliverance ministry, that these spirits are not... what's the word? Gender descriptive. So Jezebel is not just in a woman, and Ahab is not just in a man. Okay, I know that's sometimes how our minds go, but no, you can be a man with Jezebel, you can be a woman with Ahab. So either way, you may be able to take something out of this. Check this out. Jezebels are extremely narcissistic. They are self-serving. Because of their wounds, they live without concern for the damage that they cause, and the world is all about them. They're never wrong. If they apologize, it's only to say, oh, I'm sorry you misunderstood me, or I'm sorry you got your feelings hurt, or I'm sorry your face got in the way of my fist. But never do they take responsibility and admit that anything was their fault. They also hate change, and they resist it. Jezebels live in a conscious attack mode, reasoning, quote, I've been hurt, so I will not be hurt again. And Jezebels are never thankful, and their attitude is that the world is here to serve them and get out of their way. So Jezebels will always get their needs met in a very unhealthy way. They usually have such low self-worth that they tend to partner with someone passive who believes that he or she is a bad person. That is why these Jezebel and Ahab personalities always seem to end up together. A Jezebel, male or female, will find a passive Ahab, male or female, match who is looking for identity so much that he or she will almost welcome the abuse inherent in such a relationship. I also want to read about Ahab, but does anything come to your heart, Jennifer, you want to share?
You know, just a common and prime example of how these spirits actually use humans, how they use people, how they, you know, they scope you out, and it really just is a prime example. They can't do anything without your temple, without, you know, the body. They're just disembodied spirits. So just like you read, they can't do anything without your body. Go ahead. You there, Sister Ashley?
I was reading you something on mute. That's why you didn't hear me. I'm reading to you all Sister Aya in Finland. She says in the chat room, these comments emphasize Satan's depths in woman's construction. I bless Yah for our shepherd telling the truth about my wicked heart and allowing me to hear so I can repent and be set free. Just a very righteous heart's condition, right? Because if you don't have this man presenting it a certain way, you're not going to think on it on your own. And that's the reflection. So let's read about Ahab, okay? Remember, Ahab is not, it can be male or female. Ahabs, on the other hand, come across as selfless, but are also very selfish. It's just more hidden, so it looks good to others. Remember the one Pastor talked about, the characteristics of the most wicked woman on this video, Learned Helplessness, a Woman. He talked about those that were quiet, or the ones that prance like a snake. They hold their tongue. They're the most destructive people on earth that he's ever known or seen. Okay? So, as this said, they are also very selfish, but it's more hidden, so it looks good to others. They live like victims or martyrs. The ultimate Ahabs draw all attention to themselves, and they often stay in a marriage because of the children. They are selfish in a marriage because they manage very early on to get the children to volunteer as their emotional support system. They end up pulling energy from the children, holding them as emotional hostages because the children are forced, for their own well-being, to be emotionally supportive to the passive parent. Selfish Ahabs allow their partners to take advantage of them, appearing selfless, and yet draw their children into taking sides and taking on the role of supporters. Jennifer?
You know, again, both of these spirits, the main characteristic is that they use. You know, they use each other. They use the children. It's like they have to use. And so you could think that you're dealing with Jezebel, but it's actually Ahab. You know, a lot of the characteristics are the same if you really look at it.
Good. Let's jump back to emotions for a minute, like we did earlier. We only spoke briefly when I said, aren't these emotions a curse, or something like that. However, I said it. You know, what if Pastor got on a video and was, you know, God has given women a great gift in their emotions, right? We'd be like, oh, hallelujah, yes, yes. You know, they're intuitive, and they come across as far more sensitive than men. So we would be, yeah, because why? Oh, it's a gift. Yeah, these emotions are a gift. But because he's directly hitting us, because why? The enemy of our soul tries to take advantage of this giftedness to tempt us to use our emotions to get our way through manipulation. So we're tempted, we fall, we're tempted, we fall, we're tempted, we fall. So now we're guilty. Now we walk around condemned, once again wounded and helpless. So boom, you're going to bring forth the truth, speak to us and tell us that, hey, what I believe, this gift, this emotions, this sensitiveness that I have, this intuitiveness, you're going to tell me that it's being used wrong? You see? Jennifer?
You know, and again, we are the weaker vessel, so it makes sense that the enemy would use our emotions to try to destroy us. And so that's the thing that we have to really understand. You know, we are the weaker vessel. What else would he use? What else would there be to use? So, you know, using the emotion of the woman to destroy the family, to play the victim, to make somebody feel sorry for her, to turn the heart of the children against the father. You know, all that is the emotion because she's the weaker vessel.
It's true. So this wound, right? And we've all been wounded by somebody, but never reflected on the wounds that we've caused, and never reflected on the wounds that Yeshua feels because of the state that his people are in. So examining, right, how a wounded person is. For example, many times wounds are so deep in a Jezebel that the thick walls that even he or she has built will never come down. Never come down. But you know, the one thing that makes every sister, saint, brother, it doesn't matter who you are, different. You know, the one thing, are y'all ready? It's very easy. Motivation. Motivation. Either you're running for your life and you're running for Christ, or you're going to stop and stay down a little while. You're going to stop and stay oppressed for a while, or suppressed for a while, stay negative for a while. You know, how much motivation you really have is a determination and a drive for the zeal of the Father. It's not, oh, man, she just received an overwhelming amount of favor from the Father and this huge, you know, the Spirit just outpoured. No, she's motivated. He's motivated. And I'm sure we could pick out, different adjectives to describe huge differences in us. But if you're greatly motivated to be healed from your wounds, you're not going to play the helpless victim. If you're greatly motivated to be delivered, you're going to get in the deliverance line. If you're greatly motivated to change, you're going to get in His Word, you're going to pray, and you're going to talk to Him. You're not going to skip a video or not listen to it or click every few days or every 7 days or every 3 weeks on pastor's video because it doesn't matter to you. If you're really motivated, you're going to be around His people if you have the opportunity. For I know some of you don't. But come on, what's the thing in front of you that's keeping you from being motivated? Is that motivation, that drive inside of you that's in the spirit of man, in the spirit, and all of our spirits. Some of us are just lazy. And we're not going to change. We're not going to be healed. It's just the truth. As Pastor said, lukewarm. He even said it right here to the assembly sitting there. What is there, 45 people on a scripture study? Most of y'all in here, you're lukewarm. What makes you lukewarm? Your lack of motivation for the Father. And nobody's going, hey Father, are you hurt because I'm down here distracted? Disrespecting, bullshitting, I'm selfish. Are you hurt, Father? Are you wounded? I am. I'm wounded. I'm hurt, Father. I need help. Right? Because we cry out when it's in the time of affliction, but in the time to glorify Him, we know Him not. As Pastor said, we learned that behavior from America. Jennifer?
You talked about motivation, and, we have a great example before us when it comes to motivation. With the discipline to stay motivated enough to get things done. And I'm speaking about our pastor. Just think about, the few comments that we read on one simple video. I didn't even read all of the comments that were against what he was speaking, against the truth. But think about all the negative comments, everyone who comes against him, all the negative talk, in the midst of him telling the truth to Israel, and he still stays motivated enough to get things done for the Father. So we really have no excuse, the level of rejection that he experiences, but he's still motivated enough to serve the Father in righteousness and to really put the Father first no matter what. So we have no excuses at all because we have a great example before us.
It's true, because just living for Him is an automatic rejection to the world. We're a gazing stock, right? You put your head cover on, you put your skirt on, it's automatic. You're rejected by the world. You feel the tension, you feel the pressure from the people, you get the rejection from your family. But stand up and speak the truth. It puts you in a whole new ball game. It puts you in the playoffs. It puts you in the championship. It really does. You want to stand up and speak or tell somebody something? Hey, you ever felt fear in the presence of your sister or your friend, trying to tell her the truth? Okay, now do it 100-fold, continually over and over, 20-plus years on a video. Do it on a blog talk. Do it on a YouTube video. Have some comments put up about you, about your looks, your marriage, your house, your home, your children. Have everything attacked just for your good works. And stand up and then tell me what it's like to be rejected. So let's go here, and this is all I got, Sister Jennifer, to conclude. But I wanna leave everybody with, obviously, motivation, encouragement. I think we need to have a little bit of help, or maybe knowing a proper helpless response, because it's okay to feel helpless. It's okay to, we feel a lot of things that men don't feel. I'm sorry, it's going to be like, I guess it's going to be like that forever, right? So because we operate in our feelings, we're often going to emotionally conversate and talk to the Father, because we're intuitive, because we're sensitive, because we're weaker. That our relationship's just completely different from the men. Here's a point before I go there, Sister Jennifer, on a proper response. If you go to Psalms 109:22 for me and get ready. The interesting thing as an American woman is when you are around American society and around American men, you can pick them apart. You can discern them. You know what they're doing, what they're saying. You can see their flaws, tear them down. You can do all that. It's easy. But when you come into the Hebrew faith and there's real men, see, now you're confused because you don't see how they think or understand how they operate. There's a great divide between the male and female role when you're in order. When you're not in order and you are in the world functioning as a leader, a dominator, a manipulator, and you're in control and everything under you is just your possession, it's very easy to discern a situation or break down a conversation or judge a man's next move or what he's going to do or where he's going to go and who he's with and, oh, I know this and I know that. But see, you can't come over here, woman, and figure out Pastor Dow. You can't figure out Deacon Bell. You can't figure out Brother JC. You don't know these men. No, you don't. They walk in with the Father in their role, you see. You are blinded to their role. You will not know on this side of glory how they think, how they love. You won't. So your emotional connection that you've always had that protects you from getting hurt has to be dealt with here. Meaning, you're just going to be tormented if you don't deal with it. You got to get in your role. You thought you knew men, didn't you, woman? You don't know them. Nope, you don't know them. All right, let's talk about the proper helpless response. When we are helpless, when we need comfort, when we are pitiful, when we are abandoned and forsaken and hurt and all those things, because it's going to happen. Psalms 109:22. This was the words of David. Jennifer?
Can I make a comment before I read Psalm 109? You talked about a woman not being able to figure out a real, true Hebrew man. And, when I hear that, when a woman says that she can't figure a man out, it really drives her crazy because that means that she'll never be able to manipulate them. Women in the world, American women, they figure men out. They figure out the move they're going to make, the next step. They try to get to know, their character. They try to get to know how they operate, and they study men for a very long time so that they can know these things so that they can manipulate them. But it's not the same way for Hebrew men. Hebrew men you won't be able to figure out. And, when women say that I can't figure this man out, well, you shouldn't be able to, because that means that you're going to try to get to the point where you want to, manipulate them, but you'll never get to that point. Okay, that was my point I wanted to make. Did you want to say anything before I read Psalm 109:22?
Yes, thank you for the option. I was only going to take it if you said it because, hey, pastors accused of forcing women to submit, right? Forcing them to obey, forcing them to stay in a situation. But yet, even in this video that we referenced tonight, he's given the option of walking out the door. See, this is how you can't figure him out. It's like, well, why are you talking about women all the time? Comment number 1 says. And you got a problem with the Father, comment number 2 says. But the problem is, while you doing all that typing is, you can't figure him out. Because on one side of his mouth, it sounds like he's forcing all of us to just submit to him, submit to the community, and submit to coming out of her, and you got to do all this, and I got to be told what to do. Oh, I can't live that kind of life. Oh, wait a second. He says, you got the option of walking out the door? You mean you don't got to do all that? You mean you don't got to stay in a neglectful relationship, an abusive relationship? If you've been abandoned, you've been forsaken? See, that's how you can't figure him out. That's what upsets you. It really does. I know it does. It crawls under your skin. Because the volume and the strength of his voice, it would not be the issue if he was saying what you wanted to hear. All right, finally jumping to David, right? Psalms 109.
For I am poor and needy, and my heart is wounded within me.
Y'all understand? This is King David saying, I am poor and needy. If you look that up, it says depressed. So he's experiencing an emotion that we, with our intuitiveness, our sensitiveness, we experience too. So it's not a shame or a condemnation to feel as we feel. It's just motivating yourself to come out of them if they're not correct. So he's taking it to the Father, which is what we do. It's what we can do. He's our advocate. He's our everything. He's our comforter, our healer, our protector. If you don't know him, you will learn him if you seek him and find out his ways. So jumping down to, what's the other verse I wanted to use? Where did I write it at? You got it, Sister Jennifer?
Proverbs 20, verse 30. You there?
I'm talking again, muted. Forgive me, that's the second time. So he's saying I'm poor. He's saying I'm depressed. He's saying I'm needy. He's saying my heart is wounded and broken within me. All right? So go to verse 28 of Psalms 109 first, please.
Let them curse, but bless thou. When they arise, let them be ashamed, but let thy servant rejoice.
The reason I picked that is because no matter what he's stating he is, the poor, the depressed, the needy, he's saying I'm needy. That sounds pretty helpless, right? He's still saying I'm going to bless you. Let everyone else do whatever they're going to do. I'm going to bless you. So you got to see his life in the Word and read his prayers to actually understand how he can say I'm poor, I'm depressed and needy, and my heart is wounded. And he can say it with a sincerity and a proper, going to the Father with the intentions for you to change, knowing that you are in great need of him. Jennifer?
It really is true. And again, this is all a part of not playing the victim when you go to the Father in prayer. And I believe Mother Carol talked about this, about how selfish we are as women, and when we go to the Father in prayer, we don't even go to him properly. We go expecting to take, but we don't go just wanting to bless him, just for who he is. We're always looking for what he can do for us. Take this pain away, this self-inflicted pain. So again, it all goes back to the selfishness and not even considering the Father.
Very good. Proverbs 20, verse 30. So when you consider him, considering him in your ways, you need to continually think as though, hey, I need to know that, hey, he's been wounded, he's been hurt, he's endured me, and not forsaken me, and not broken covenant, and still gathered me. Right? It's just a humility that your soul needs, not just your speech. You just acquire of Yah to get that in your heart. Let's go. Let's end with Proverbs 20, verse 30.
The blueness of a wound cleanseth away evil. So do stripes, the inward parts of the belly.
Does that make sense to you all? Stripe, that would mean focusing on the end. Stripes cleanse away. Wait, what did you just say? The blueness of a wound cleanse away evil. So do stripes, what was the word?
Inward parts of the belly.
Inward parts of the belly. So could you see that your stripes would cleanse the inward parts of your belly? Can you see that? Your stripes would cleanse the inward parts of your belly. You desire to be cleansed from your wounds, right? You desire to be clean before the Father. It's your desire to be clean. He says, I want to take you higher. But you're full of, or you are, hypocrites. So be clean, Israel. Be clean. Remember, the spirit of man is the candle of Yah, searching all the inward parts of the belly. So the stripes will cleanse the inward parts of the belly. And he can see you. He can see you so clearly. You are not getting by. This is such a fearful thing. But just even hearing it come from me or just even reading it, nah, it doesn't increase your fear. Nah, just for the moment. Because we're Israel, we forget and we walk away and we forsake and we still disrespect and we're still selfish. So you got to really seek him for a great understanding of this and how you treat one another, how you speak to one another, how you are with your husband. That's the only way that you have on this earth to manifest your love for the Father. There's no other way. Just praying ain't getting it done. Just reading ain't getting it done. Just isolating yourself and listening to Straitway miles away, hours away, never calling in, typing in every once in a while, chatting with us here and there, and we don't even know who you are. That ain't going to get you clean. You got to embrace this and run with it. You really do, Daughter's Design. You got to stay far away from the feminist comments. I hope you've been edified. I'm done, Sister Jennifer. What say you?
I just want to say that, you know, the Father is focused on our servitude and our obedience to him. And I really believe that our relationship will change when we learn how to love one another as sisters. You know, we'll learn how to be better wives and better mothers when we consider our attitudes and what we have done to the Father first. So it's like we're skipping over what we've done to the Father and we're just trying to go to our sisters and learn how to establish friendships and how to establish relationships, but we've missed a major part. We skipped our first love. We really need to start there, you know, and consider what we've done to the Father.
Even as my sister told me last Shabbat, and she knows who she is, she said, first, I'm trying to love me. When I get me down, then I'm going to get my sisters down. And then when I get my sisters down, I'm going to know that I love Yah, right? So let me just love me right now. It's okay to be right there, all right? It's okay to be right there, to walk yourself through that, through the wounds of the past. It's okay. It's okay to reach out and say, I've been wounded, I need help. But you got to reach out. Just as Elder Mitch said in his video, man, he's doing all this traveling around looking for land, and he's realizing all these people have all these acres, all this land by themselves because somebody didn't want it, an heir to the throne, if I could say. You know, a child coming up behind mom and dad didn't want the land. They bailed. Whatever the situation may be, because he knows more details. All that wasted away. And we striving for unity. Unity. So you're going to get there by going, I can't do this alone. I can't do it by myself. I'm going to stop, take some time. I'm going to love me. I'm going to love me. Not for what I've done, but who I want to be and what Yah sees in me. Okay? I'm going to get my focus right. And then I'm going to love my sisters. And then I'm going to be a friend. I'm going to make myself friendly. All right? We're restoring. We are restoring relationships, restoring the ways of Yah, and we are encouraged. I appreciate all the listening audience tonight. I hope you've taken something that will allow you to be encouraged the rest of I should say night, because tomorrow night's a total different encouragement when Pastor comes on. Thank you for listening, Daughters of Zion. Sister Jennifer, end the show.
Bless you, Daughters of Zion. We love you, and we are striving to love the Father even more so that we can say that we love you. We know our love is shown through our obedience, so I pray that we're all striving toward that same goal. Shalom.
And Yahweh Elohim said,
It is not good for the man to be alone. I am going to make a helper for him as his counterpart.
Holy Yahweh Almighty, we're singing, Holy